Hey guys, Jim Duffy. And I know, well, I don't know, but a lot of people are saying that we're heading into a recession, that it's on the horizon, right? Late this year, early next year, something like that. I've heard lots of economists talk about that. So I wanted to talk about, well, if we are heading into recession, and let's assume for a moment that we are, what's that do to housing, right? Because I'm seeing a lot of posts on Facebook and stuff like this from real estate agents and others that are simply false. So the first thing I would say is we don't know for sure what's going to happen with housing in a recession, right? Because it's future and there's a lot of elements in play. However, even though history doesn't repeat itself, it does rhyme. And so if we look back at history, we can get a pretty good idea of what to expect going into recession if indeed that's what's on the horizon. The first thing is this chart. Look at the gray vertical lines. Those are every time the United States has been in a recession. And you can see the recession in 1960, 70, 75, the early 80s had a couple of them, if we all remember those, if we were around at that time. 90, and then the 2008 recession, well, 2001, the dot-com crash, right? And look at the blue line. The blue line is housing prices in the US as an aggregate, right? We know housing's local, of course, but as an aggregate, what did housing do? Well, we saw that housing prices fell just a little bit in 1960. And then they rose coming out of recession. Well, they were flat for a while and then rose. But in every other recession, save one, housing prices went up during the recession. And it kind of makes sense because if stocks are down, people want to put money into hard assets, right? Like homes and other things. And homes benefit. Now, 2008 was the one exception, but that was led by housing, right? The whole recession was caused by the housing crash. We don't have that now. The numbers don't indicate that we're heading there at all. There's another side to it, right? We also know that interest rates have risen quite dramatically. So take a look at this chart. We all hear the stories, right? Our parents or grandparents or whoever talks about, when I bought my first home, rates were 18% and I bought it anyway. Well, here's the chart. It shows you the dramatic rise in rates, right? This is from 1972 to present day. The dramatic rise in rates in the early 80s took place in two different chunks, right? But look what happened. They rose very, very quickly, reached a peak, and then fell just as quickly. And they did it again in that when they reached 18%, they fell a little and then fell very dramatically. And again in the 90s, right? Twice in the 90s, in the early 2000s. They rose quickly and then fell just as quickly. Now, if you look at today, in the last year and a quarter, we've had the largest percentage rise in mortgage rates in the history of mortgage rates. Now, I'll say that again, not the biggest rise number-wise, but the biggest percentage rise in rates in the history of rates. They've gone up over 70% in a year and a quarter. So if history were to rhyme in this case, it would indicate that sometime in the fairly near future, we're going to see a dramatic drop in interest rates. And I think we're headed toward that. Lots of reasons for it, which I could go into in more videos. But my point is, everything's compressed right now. And rates have risen the highest percentage rate in the shortest period of time in history. So I think we're headed toward a fall that's just as dramatic, right? And I think we'll see rates back in the threes, maybe even high twos. I don't know for sure, but I think it is. So what's the strategy going into recession if you're looking to buy a home? Well, if home prices keep rising through recessions, I would say buy the home. Lock in the price today, right? Very simple. Lock in your price on your home today. And if interest rates are set to rise maybe a little bit more, and they could, and they probably will, but then fall just as dramatically, lock in your rates later. So you buy now and your rate's in the fives probably, but you locked in the price. Home prices keep rising, and as interest rates fall, that'll cause home prices to rise even faster, right? Doesn't matter for you because you've locked in the price, and then you refinance, and we work together on that, and you lock in the rate just down the road. Maybe a year, maybe 2 years, I'm not quite sure, but I know it's coming. I hope that helps, and that's how I would plan if I were buying a home right now. Lock in the price today, lock in the rate later. if I can help you with a pre-approval, of course, let me know.